Welcome to the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show, live on Rumble, where facts come first and where news is done right. And we begin with tragic news out of Hawaii, where deadly fire swept through Maui yesterday, leaving dozens dead, destroying major parts of the historic beach paradise in one of the deadliest wildfires in recent years. Over 250 buildings are gone. Residents were seen jumping into the ocean to escape the flames, and the high winds, the low humidity, and dry vegetation likely contributed to the severity of the fires. We are praying for the brave and resilient people of Maui and the first responders who put it on the line for everybody. We will bring you the latest as it develops. And to support recovery efforts, you can support groups like the Salvation Army. Visit hawaii.salvationarmy.org. That's hawaii.salvationarmy.org. And we have so much big breaking news to cover today, including even more evidence of blatant corruption by the Biden DOJ. House Judiciary Committee member, Army veteran, Congressman Wesley Hunt will be here to break it all down. And later, one of the best political analysts in the business, former Trump Treasury Department official Monica Crowley, is here to explain why Donald Trump just keeps getting stronger the more he gets attacked. And I'm keeping an eye on the questions and comments in the live chat, and will respond throughout the show. But we begin tonight with the corruption, chaos, and lack of character from Joe Biden. We've covered the corruption extensively on this show, how Joe Biden used his political status to profit and peddle influence, and then continued over and over again to lie about it. And now is trying to throw his top political opponent in jail. But Biden's bad behavior doesn't stop there, because to this day, he still refuses to take any responsibility for the disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan, and still shows a lack of compassion for the Gold Star families who lost loved ones. For example, Gold Star mother Cheryl Rex, whose Marine son died in the Kabul airport bombing in August 2021, ripped Biden for how he disrespected the families in the aftermath. Take a look.
When Joe Biden, our elected president, entered the room, when he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt a little over 24 hours and learning of my son's death. After this encounter, I have never had any personal correspondence, nor has my son been honored or his name spoken by this commander-in-chief or his administration on what I feel is because of their failures and poor planning to exit our troops from Afghanistan.
These amazing families deserve so much better than this, and deserve to have a president who will actually pay the proper respect to our fallen heroes. And a message to Joe Biden: you need to stop lying to these Gold Star families by telling them that your son Beau died in Iraq. Beau Biden tragically died of brain cancer in 2015, but Biden has the sick habit of making moments with Gold Star families about himself and claiming over and over again that Beau died in Iraq. It's just not true. Using the suffering of others to score cheap political points for yourself is the lowest of the low. And it's just another example of Biden's failure of leadership and putting himself over the good of the country. And meanwhile, according to new financial records released this week, the Biden family foreign syndicate raked in around $20 million from foreign oligarchs while Joe Biden was vice president. $20 million. And according to the findings, there were no actual services provided other than Hunter providing access to Biden himself. And that's not all. Bank records show that back in 2014, Hunter opened his firm Rosemont Seneca Bohai the day before the former First Lady of Moscow wired a cool $3.5 million to Hunter's sister's firm, Rosemont Seneca Thornton, funds that were then transferred to a shell company in an apparent effort to hide the pay-for-play scheme. Disgraceful. The corruption is right in our faces, and they are persecuting Donald Trump to try and hide their own crimes. And get this, we are now learning that the Democrats' sham January 6th committee failed to preserve records, data, and video depositions, including communications with the Biden White House. Translation: the Democrats destroyed evidence in yet another cover-up. And as Congressman Wesley Hunt tweeted, quote, "I thought no one was above the law. Does that apply to Democrats who destroyed evidence?" And joining me now is that very great congressman from Texas' 38th District, member of the House Judiciary Committee. He's also an Army veteran. God bless him. We thank him for his service. And West Point graduate, Congressman Wesley Hunt. What a pleasure to have you back on the program.
Always good to be on, Kimberly. So good to seeing you, and thank you so much for having me, as always. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic. I think we need to bump his audio a little bit, Kyle. Did you? Yeah. All right. So, Congressman Hunt, so much obviously to get into. But first, I just want to get your reaction to the comments from Gold Star families about how they were treated by Joe Biden. You're an Army veteran who served your country faithfully. What does all of this say about Joe Biden's character?
Kimberly, this is a derelict of duty. This is some of the worst leadership I've seen in the history of this country. And as a combat veteran, as a West Point graduate, as a graduate that's actually lost 14 of my West Point classmates in combat, not of brain cancer later on in life, in combat, as somebody that has done funeral details and have actually handed a folded flag to a weeping widow as we lower her husband into the ground, as somebody that's done all of these things, to see the lack of care from the commander-in-chief for these brave soldiers and families that pay the ultimate sacrifice is a complete slap in the face. But the worst thing about that botched Afghan withdrawal was the fact that as these brave soldiers came back home after giving their last resolve, this man checked his watch after every single casket was taken off of that airplane. And that to me was a level of disgust that he will never, ever be able to apologize enough for me.
I think you're absolutely right. And I remember the talk about it at the time. It's so disgraceful. It's an abomination. It's embarrassing that this is the commander in chief and he has no regard for anyone, for the loss of life that he created.
Yes.
Unbelievable with his poor decision making and that disastrous, withdrawal. It's just, it's one of the things that I know outrages so many people. And it's one of the things that President Trump is the most upset about, quite frankly. And he talks about it all the time. And I just kind of want to get your opinion, what all of this sort of says, about how Biden views the military, the brave men and women that serve, and, quite frankly, how he views the country for that matter.
Well, what we're seeing is a direct contrast in leadership. You were talking about President Trump not being satisfied or being excited at all. That's the way Biden handled this. Well, that's because we had Afghanistan under control. We had a conditions-based withdrawal already set up.
Right.
We hadn't lost a single American soldier in 18 months. And you have Joe Biden, again, the worst president in modern history,
Sure.
show up. And just because he doesn't like the president, forget the great policies, he had that botched withdrawal and it cost us American lives. Think about that contrast. We have President Trump, who was trying to preserve and save American lives and prevent ongoing wars. And then you have Joe Biden on day one, usurping that responsibility to other countries and ruining our military literally overnight. It's enough. The American public has seen enough. We have got to vote him out in 2024.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And, that was just such a huge, abject failure that he should be voted out just on those grounds
just
alone.
On that alone.
Not even the other myriad of things that he's botched
Yes.
or destroyed, including the economy, including the border. It's unbelievable. Okay, so and Biden has no problem, right, selling out to foreign oligarchs, which is a huge problem. This is a national security issue. Bank
Yes, it is.
records confirm. This is not, supposition, conjecture. These are facts. It's confirmed that the Biden family received $20 million from foreign actors, including Russian oligarchs, whom then VP Biden attended dinners with. And AG Garland is set to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee next month. What are you going to ask him, and do you expect any straight answers? Like, how are you looking at this and framing it out?
Of course, there's not going to be any straight answers. These people are absolutely hell bent on destroying our country, and we have watched Hunter Biden be an errand boy for the Biden crime family for the past decade, and now we have receipts. Now we have $20 million that we know they have come from countries all over the entire world that have been funneled to the Biden family for zero services. And you know what? The American public is watching this, and the first thing that I hear when I talk to all the people in my district are, oh my gosh, if this were President Trump, if
Forget
this
it.
were Don Jr., oh
Oh
my
my God.
gosh. I mean, these people would be under the jail. And what we are trying to do, Kimberly, is point
Literally.
out this two-tier justice system.
Hmm.
This is not right. Just because he's Hunter Biden, just because he's Joe Biden, doesn't mean that he is above the law. And the fact that we are going after President Trump for crimes that he did not commit, and
Right.
we have the receipts here for
Yes.
what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden have done, it's absurd.
And we have to just, nothing to see there. Just look away, even though the facts, the evidence are there. There's no evidence of any crimes that President Trump has committed. I mean,
Zero.
it's outrageous, just the audacity. I mean, there's no integrity whatsoever with the DOJ, with Merrick Garland, and the puppet legal arm of Biden's corruption, Jack Smith. So,
Yes.
beyond these hearings, Congressman, that you guys are going to have, what bold actions do you want to see from your fellow House Republicans?
I think we are way past due to start talking about impeaching Joe Biden. Way past due. And I spoke with President Trump a few weeks ago, and he said to me, he goes, you know what, Wesley, at this point, it's not about political expediency. At this point, it's not about how difficult it might make 2024. Don't you think he's just earned it and deserved it? And the answer to that is absolutely. It's like I said, we have receipts. We know exactly what they have done. And if any other president in history would have behaved like this, there would have been a bipartisan effort to get him out of here yesterday. I find it very interesting that they've collected millions of dollars from Burisma, which is a Ukrainian energy company, a national Ukrainian energy
Yes.
company. And then now we're giving them hundreds of billions of dollars of our tax-paying money. And I find that to be a bit of a conflict of interest. What I love about what's happening and what we're going to continue to do is ask these questions and point this out to the American people. Right now, President Trump is up 20 points amongst independents. And that is because we're doing a vigilant job, and shows like you are the ones that are showing the American people exactly what's going on, and we're going to make the difference.
No, you're absolutely right. And, one of the most important powers that you have and your colleagues, as congressmen is, being able to put forth bills, being able to put forth subpoenas, to compel record production, and also
Yes.
personal appearance. Anything else in that regard that you would like to see happen? And I also want your reaction to the Democrats at January 6th committee conveniently not preserving any records. In fact, destroying evidence.
Destroying evidence is a crime. But the reason why they're destroying evidence is because, again, it's like you said earlier, ma'am, there's nothing to see here. The idea or the insinuation of blaming President Trump for January 6th is actually laughable. And they also know they're not going to indict him on this. But what they've actually destroyed is evidence that's contrary to what they've been blaming him for the past 2 years. For whatever reason, January 6th has become their battle cry, and now it's falling on deaf ears. This indictment is laughable, and of course, it's going to get thrown out because it absolutely has no teeth. Just like we saw with Alvin Bragg, just like we've seen for the last two indictments. There's nothing there. This is a witch hunt. This is a current president that is going after his political opponent, a man that is up 40 points in every single poll that I have
Literally.
seen.
Yeah.
And the Iowa caucuses are in 5 months. They're in 5 months.
Yeah,
Let
it's
the people-
unbelievable. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
He's crushing it, and now we even saw DeSantis fell to third place behind Vivek
Yeah.
Ramaswamy. So let me tell you something. Wake up, folks. That's what I got to say.
Yeah.
And, at the center of Biden's criminal playbook is trying to jail, his top political opponent, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. But as you said, the polls are showing that many Americans are seeing, quite frankly, right through this. They see that this is just a pile on, that they're just trying to throw anything up against the wall to stick. But I feel like it's losing credibility because people are saying, oh, come on, another indictment? Where it's now becoming so ridiculous that it's like boomeranging, backfiring back. And, they're saying, wait a second, this is blatant corruption. Where do you stand on, on impeachment on not just Biden, but there's a lot of talk. Oh, yeah. Merrick Garland.
Oh,
yeah.
Ray. He did some of this too. Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
A lot of them. And I would also say that any of these three-letter organizations that have been weaponized by this current administration, by the executive branch, all of them should be impeached. I think the top two perpetrators, though, are Joe Biden and Merrick Garland at this point. I think we have enough evidence to impeach them tomorrow. It's pretty obvious. What I understand, too, is that is it going to get through the Senate? Probably not. But the whole point of an impeachment process is actually to get all the evidence collected so the American people can see exactly what they did wrong. That's all we need to do.
Yes.
And I think we can do our job on the Judiciary Committee to the best of our ability. But when we actually get down those granular details as to all of the crimes, all of the phone calls, all of the documents, all of it, the American public should see that.
I totally agree. It is such an important aspect of it. Well, ultimately, he's not going to get him or go to the Senate. You just explained it and articulated it so well. It's about that process and about what you're being able to obtain and get access to and get the information, have that transparency, put it all out there for the American people. That's why it's like TikTok, like, let's go. Let's get this done. Kash Patel agrees with you, too. We're like, we have such an incredible power here to be able to use a power given, by the people, by the voters of this country to the constituents that they chose to serve them admirably in Congress, like yourself. And so I'm really hoping that we can do this. I think this is one of the best Congresses we've ever had in terms of people like yourself involved that are true fighters, not lip service people, but actually like producing quality results, earning that paycheck and that, faith and vote of confidence from the American people that say, I'm glad I chose you and you're getting something done and I feel good about it and we're getting back on track, as a country. And I think it's so important to restore that, dignity and respect. And not only that, to Congress, too, because, it wasn't too long ago that people had like a plummeting opinion of Congress because people weren't, getting anything done. They were like window dressing, getting elected and then doing nothing.
That is not what our goal is. That is not what Jim Jordan, what his goal is on judiciary. That's not what we're doing. That's why we had Chris Wray. We've had the head of the ATF. We've had everybody that you can imagine we've had in front of us, and we're going to continue to do that. And the first question that I always get is, well, what are you doing about it? This is exactly what we're doing about it. I hope you're paying attention. And then in 2024, you can vote accordingly because now you're going to have all the facts.
Exactly.
Again, this is about conveying this to we the people. That's our job. That's what we're doing. It's not about the Senate. It's not about the executive branch. What can we in Congress do to do our job to best inform the American people, we the people? And I think we have another year to do that, and we're going to be in pretty good shape.
I think so. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because kudos. I mean, your committee is phenomenal. Jim Jordan is amazing. He's a great American. Yes. He's a man of his word, a man of principle and dignity, and of courage and of strength, because you have to be fearless to be able to go after these people to, really expose this blatant, corruption. And I love what you said and what you tweeted about. No one's above the law. And how is it that this Biden crime syndicate is getting away with this nonsense when there's literally evidence? How about this? This is one of my favorites. So I see this thing. I don't even know what this is. It was a member of the Biden orbit or what, I don't even know what this outer space situation is, that brought in the cocaine or something like that to the what?
I mean, come on, Kimberly, we know. I mean, I'll give you one hint. I mean, the person that brought in the cocaine, it starts with the H and it ends in a Hunter Biden. Like, let's just stop playing games here.
It's so bananas. Like, where did they come up with someone in a comms meeting with that weirdo double speak that they thought that the American people weren't going to laugh out loud at? Anyway, but you just can't make it up. Just when you think you've seen it, I have to actually check sometimes and say, is that a headline from the Babylon Bee? Is that a joke?
Oh no, it's real.
Or did they really say that? I'm not joking. I really have to look. I'm like, whoa. There's no way. But they don't care Because they're
They
just
don't
like,
care.
we're just like, untouchable, whatever, that's that. Which is another reason why we've got to get Donald Trump in 2024 and expose all of this. Just like rip the
Absolutely.
curtain back and show it all. And once again, it'll be Trump was right, because all these other
Absolutely.
sham investigations and indictments are going to, get blown apart. And people will actually know. And I think it's important to know and
It
have
is
that
important to
truth
know, and when
exposed.
President Trump gets back in office, there's going to be hell to pay for this. You see, when he told me a couple of weeks ago that I love, he goes, Wesley, they aren't coming after me. They're coming after you.
Yeah,
I'm just standing in their way.
it's true.
That's the kind of leader that we need to defend the freedoms of this country for the future and to reverse course. That
I
kind of mentality.
absolutely love it. And we need more Wesley Hunts. That's what we need. Okay? Like a lot more.
Thank you
Like
so
I want to
much.
make an army of Wesley Hunts. And what's my favorite
Let's do
nickname
it.
for you? Genetic perfection. There you go.
I
Feast
didn't
your
hear you
eyes
say it
on it,
again. I didn't hear that.
folks.
Say it one more
Yeah,
time. One more time.
genetic perfection. Don's like, you don't call me that, princess. I said, what?
I know, right?
Poor guy. Poor guy. Well, you're the absolute best. Keep doing the fighting that you're doing and phenomenal job on the Judiciary Committee. God bless to you and your family. And again, thank you for your continued service to this country. We appreciate you.
God bless you, man. Thank you for having me on anytime. And again, I really appreciate it. Good seeing you.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Congressman Wesley Hunt, he is the best, isn't he? And we have much more coming up with the always insightful, the brilliant Monica Crowley. And I'll also be answering your questions from the live chat. So get involved, folks. Make sure you like, please, and subscribe to my channel so you never miss these major episodes. And I enjoy our time we spend together. And it is all of you who make this show possible, along with our amazing sponsors. So first, I want to thank an amazing sponsor for help making this show possible. So be sure to go and check out the great folks over at Goldco, please. Gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. Look, we see all the economic warning signs. We see banks collapsing. We see reckless spending. And I want you to be ready. I'm ready. We're going to survive Joe Biden, okay? With Goldco, you can take action to secure and stabilize your portfolio. Roll over your 401k or your IRA into precious metals and safeguard your savings. And you can do this tax and penalty free. From precious metals, IRAs, to direct purchases of gold and silver, Goldco has helped thousands of Americans place, get this, over $2 billion in gold and silver. And when you open up a qualifying gold IRA today, you can get up to $10,000 in free silver. Go and get it. Go to kimsmetals.com to learn more. That's kimsmetals.com. And now I want to answer some of your questions from the live chat. All right, what's our first question here?
One question from a user named Severed. It says, U.S. has been taken over by the D.C. administrative state. What can we do to stop
What has been taken over?
the D.C.
DC.
law?
Okay, well, that's been a problem for quite some time, as you know, and this is why when President Trump was first running, he kept saying, what? Drain the swamp. And you're right, now it's like the Uniparty, the globalists, and all these people and weaponized agencies conspiring together to try to destroy Donald Trump and trying to pull the wool over the eyes of all of us hardworking Americans who would like integrity restored to government agencies, to DC, so it's not just business as usual. And you even see a weaponized prosecution against President Trump with this latest indictment in DC. Why is that? That is designed to try to stop him because he is the top political opponent and most formidable opponent against Joe Biden and his corrupt administration. So that is what's going on with that.
Great answer. Another one from Red Dog 65.
Red Dog.
Gotta get involved and get those friends out to vote who normally don't vote. How do we do that?
Yeah, I think this is such a good point because people say to me, how are we going to, and I like that Red Dog. It's almost like the nickname for my son. We call him Road Dog. How do we get a different result than we did in the last election in 2020? Well, you're right. We've got to mobilize and get about another 15 million votes to run up the score, to overcome the corruption and the cheating, and make sure that people don't sit home saying, how in the world could he not win and beat Joe Biden? How in the world did Joe Biden get 81 million votes? You follow my lead here? And President Trump got the most votes in American political history of an incumbent sitting president. And when that happens, they never lose. So a lot of unanswered questions still remain here, but it means getting other people that didn't come out, that thought, okay, I'll stay home, etc., and didn't mobilize. And that's going to be ground game in all of these key swing states, etc. And you just have to encourage people. It's your civic duty to get out there and vote, to make sure, whether you do by absentee ballot or you go in person, whatever it takes to make sure your voice is heard if you do not like what's going on right now. And that means bringing in new voters, people who perhaps voted a different way last time, and really broadening and opening the tent so that we can get everybody out there. And, you know, I get asked every day about people volunteering, and that's what they need to do. If you are sick and tired of what's been going on in the country, then get involved locally with your local GOP Republican organizations. Help work those polling stations, help pass out flyers, and, you know, attend events, etc., and encourage other people to do so. Pick up 5 or 6 people and bring them to go vote. I mean, it's literally going to take that very active, hands-on, grassroots, you know, movement to make sure that there are significant gains from the previous election. All good?
All good. Good answers.
Thank you. All right, and joining me now, she always has good answers, for more reaction to all of today's big breaking news, a former Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at the Trump Treasury Department and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, the one and only, the wonderful Monica Crowley, my great friend, joins us. Pleasure to have you on the program.
Hi, Beauty. It's so good to be with you. And I just want to mention to everybody that you were on my podcast on Tuesday. Phenomenal conversation, Kimberly. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Well, Monica, I want to lead off with some new poll numbers, okay? I want you to go through this with me. A new survey from Signal shows Donald Trump with 53%, Vivek with 11%, and Ron DeSantis sinking to third place with 10%. So it seems to me that Republican voters are appearing to have made up their minds, and DeSantis is plummeting in the polls.
It's really been quite an astonishing thing to see, Kimberly. I mean, you and I had no doubt that Donald Trump was going to be the Republican nominee again for 2024. We had no doubt about that whatsoever. But, you know, it was going to be interesting to see how the field was going to pan out and how voters were going to react to all the legal challenges, you know, the junk indictments and everything else coming at Donald Trump. But I suspected from the very beginning that because President Trump has something that no other political candidate has had, maybe since Barack Obama first ran for president, which is an emotional bond with the voters.
That's a very good point.
Right? It's not political. It's not ideological, although those things certainly come into play. Yeah. But moreover, it is an emotional bond with the American people. And I knew that that was going to be pretty much impossible for any other Republican candidate to overcome. And what we're seeing now, Kimberly, you know, a lot of people put a lot of stock in Governor DeSantis, who is the best governor in the country, probably the best Republican governor that we have had since maybe Ronald Reagan out of California. I mean, he's just been an extraordinarily effective governor. But what he is learning, and everybody else is now learning, is that there is a huge difference between being an effective governor of a large state like Florida and running for president. And then it's something else entirely to run for president against Donald J. Trump. And all of these candidates.
Who would want to do it? It's just...
Yeah. I mean, who would want to run against Donald Trump? Not me, not you. Nope. I don't know.
Nope.
But it is a completely different dynamic. And now that we have seen this massive pile-on by the weaponization of our most fearsome government agencies like the DOJ and FBI against President Trump, and by extension to you, me, and everybody watching, all of us America Firsters, there has been a booming rallying effect around President Trump, which we expected to happen, but maybe not to this extent so fast. But here he is completely dominating the field, now with a clear majority of 53% of the GOP vote. So for all intents and purposes, Kimberly, this Republican primary is over.
Is over, yes. All right, so in response to the never-ending witch hunt, in the indictments against Donald Trump, he wrote on Truth Social that, quote, "The good news is that the people get it." How does this all play out in the messaging wars in a general election?
Yeah, because it's one thing for Republican voters to understand what's happening. I think the vast majority of us get it and have gotten it now for a very long time. So the challenge here for President Trump, his campaign, and others who support him and the America First movement is to educate the rest of the American people about what's actually happened here. And, I think you and I talked about this Tuesday on my show.
On your show.
I think, if they had not gotten greedy with these indictments, if they had slapped him with one charge, one indictment, I think maybe, low information voters and others out there might say, maybe President Trump did do something. Maybe we got to see how it pans out. But the fact that they got greedy and overreached, as they always do, because they can't not do it. They're so consumed with hatred for Donald Trump, America First, the entire movement. They cannot not do it. They can't stop themselves.
Yeah.
So because they have overreached, now it's got the attention of most of the American people who are going, oh, come on already. This massive pylon is grossly unfair.
Yeah.
This is totally unjust. And now we're actually going to take a second look at President Trump because you know what? Life wasn't so bad under him. Mm-hmm. We had a booming economy, an enforced border, law and order in our cities, and we were getting out of foreign wars. So nice. Donald Trump basically gave us a booming economy and world peace. That wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
so
if you're into that kind of thing, exactly.
Who may have wanted to gravitate away from him, KG, are now looking at him again and saying, you know what? He was pretty good. And I think I may vote for him again. But from a messaging standpoint, he and his team need to be hitting the unfairness of this and taking it apart every single day between now and Election Day.
And essentially, that's great advice that you give. As always, brilliant. That's what they need to do right now, as if it is the general election.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Don't wait for them to tell us when it's going to be. We know Trump is going to be the nominee, so just act like it right now. That's what I think is going to be important and pivotal so that people really get that message, saturated in. And the House Oversight Committee released a bank records memo, Monica, and it was detailing how the Bidens and their associates received millions from oligarchs in Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and all of a sudden the national press is suddenly not interested in Russia contacts with the president's family. No, doesn't bother them.
I tweeted this story yesterday from the House Oversight Committee, KG, and I wrote, so in other words, actual Russian collusion. so in other words, actual foreign collusion, right? And of course, our propaganda press is wholly uninterested in unearthing any of this. Remember, the left, KG, are masters of projection. They always accuse Donald Trump and the rest of us of everything that they themselves are doing and are guilty of. So when they came at Trump with this Russia hoax, they knew that Joe Biden was hip deep in all of this. And by the way, Barack Obama, let's not give him a pass. I actually spent my podcast today, and I recommend it to everybody, taking apart the fact that Barack Obama is the man behind the curtain. He is the one running the show now. But for 8 years, and then through the Trump years, all of the attacks on President Trump, all roads lead to Barack Obama. So let's not give him a pass because he's controlling all of this. So a lot of this, of course, is meant to protect Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the crooked Biden family. But so much of it is also designed to protect Barack Obama as well. So let's keep that picture in mind here. But yeah, look, the corruption runs so deep. They're all protecting one another. This is the ruling class. This is the uni party. And that includes some Republicans as well, like Mitch McConnell and others who have made a fortune off of China. So when we say drain the swamp, and President Trump talks about draining the swamp, Kimberly, this is about, in the second term, literally cleaning out all of the corruption.
And you know he's going to do it.
At the party as well.
He is ready to go. And he has everything lined up. You've seen all his great policy videos. He's got all his papers and everything ready to go to clean house. And yes, guess what? He doesn't have to worry about re-election, doesn't even have to worry about, fundraising. He can just 4 great years of getting everything done. Let's see if we see you back in the administration again. And just to refresh the recollection of our viewers and listeners, you worked at Treasury Department under President Trump. So what tools, because that's such a powerful department, and there's tools that are available to help kind of trace all this and follow the money and figure out what's going on. Talk to us a little bit about that, to follow this Biden family money trail.
Sure. And you mentioned a second Trump term. Kimberly, I would join a second Trump administration in a New York minute. So whatever President Trump thinks that I would be well suited to do, I will do that to serve my country in the America First agenda, of course.
Absolutely.
In terms of Treasury, so the longstanding tradition is when congressional committees or even individual members of Congress request things like suspicious activities reports, which are generated by banks when red flags are raised by banks of suspicious banking activity, including international business transactions. When banks raise those red flags, they are automatically sent to the U.S. Treasury Department for review, because the Treasury has a national security division. Not a lot of people know this, but it's a really important division to track things like cartel spending and finances, Russian oligarchs' finances and money laundering, terrorist organizations, their money laundering and tracking their money around the globe. So in doing this, when Treasury gets SARS reports like this on individuals, whenever, or institutions or organizations like terrorist groups, when Congress requests these records, Kimberly, they almost always are turned over to Congress. Well, under Janet Yellen for the first 2 years, when there was a Democratic House, there were no records turned over when Republicans requested them. Republicans got control of the House, demanded them, and Treasury was forced to turn them over. And what we have seen is massive amounts of money, tens of millions of dollars, coming into the Biden family coffers from Russia, Ukraine, China, Romania, Kazakhstan, you name it. I mean, and God knows what he's doing as president of the United States. This all happened when he was leveraging the vice presidency. We don't know what he's doing now. But tens of millions of dollars on the record. House Oversight is now saying well over 20 million. I think that's the tip of the iceberg, Kimberly. I think we're going to see more evidence in terms of bank records, texts, emails, phone records, photographs of Joe Biden right at the center of this, because everybody needs to remember when they talk about the Biden brand, as Devin Archer did the other day, there is no Biden brand without Joe Biden in high office. So he leveraged his high office at the expense of the American people and the United States to enrich and empower himself and his family. That is textbook bribery and, frankly, textbook treason.
It really is. I mean, there's not even a question. I mean, these are specific facts and evidence that no one is disputing. Yet, where are the repercussions? Where is the accountability? That's another great reason for President Trump to get in and make sure that we get that accountability. And, these people literally deserve to go to jail. But circling back and talking about the primary, everybody's been talking about this, Monica, and there's a lot of different opinions about it. There's the GOP primary debate scheduled for later this month. Donald Trump has suggested he will not attend and says he will not sign a loyalty pledge. Should he do any of these debates? Even if he doesn't do this one, should he consider one in the future? Do you see any benefit to that? And about also get your opinion on his refusal to sign a loyalty pledge.
I think President Trump can do whatever he wants. He is a former president of the United States, likely the next president of the United States, totally dominating the GOP field. And according to this one latest poll, KG, that just came out in the last 24 hours, he's leading Joe Biden by 4 points. Other polls show him tied or slightly leading Biden as well. So he is so dominant that he can make whatever choice he wants to make. Totally support him in his choice not to sign the loyalty pledge. Those are all sort of games, internal GOP games that are played. But again, he's completely right not to do that. And in GOP debates, look, he's running like 40 to 50 points ahead.
He must know a thing or two about how to handle this. He is a great strategist.
Why would he waste his time? He has other things to do, like number one, fight off these bogus indictments, but number two, speak directly to the American people in rallies and interviews and other appearances to get his message across. He doesn't need to stand on a debate stage with what Steve Bannon calls the Keebler elves, okay? He doesn't need to do that. And you know what? Guys like Chris Christie, their only mission in this race is to beat up on Donald Trump. Why should President Trump subject himself to being a punching bag?
I agree. He's nobody's punching
to take
bag.
Aim at them. Forget it.
Absolutely
Go above their
not.
heads of the propaganda press and others, and just take your message directly to the people.
Yeah, elevate yourself. Don't take the stage with these people. They're like 1% of the vote. Like, give me a break. And then he said he might be like taking a look, see if he's, audition for anybody for a VP. Speaking of which, before I let you go, because I got to get every pearl of wisdom from Monica Crowley, who do you kind of like, for, I'm just curious, potential VP, since you and I have already decided the primary is over?
Yeah. Well, actually, Kimberly, I think either you or I will be a great choice.
Exactly. Oh, we'll send you, Monica. Let me tell you.
And chooses I think he's got a couple of criteria this time around that maybe he didn't have the first time around. First time around, he was an untested political figure. He had never done any of this before. So I understand the calculation was, let me go with somebody who's sort of tried and true and perceived as a steady, responsible, conservative hand, which was Mike Pence. Mike Pence has then since gone on to betray President Trump. I have no forgiveness in my heart for anybody who has betrayed this president, who gave them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to serve their country in very high positions. That's a separate conversation. This time around, I think the criteria are a little different for him. I think number one is loyalty. That's where you and I come in. I think he's got to have somebody who is absolutely loyal to him personally, of course, but to the America First agenda. So that's number one. And then I think he's got to take a look at somebody who can deliver a swing state and help him, particularly with suburban women, but somebody who can target a certain state, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and really help deliver one or more of those states. And then, of course, there are other parts of the calculation to this. So I don't have specific names for you. I love a lot of America First folks out there, but I think that is probably what's guiding his thinking on the VP slot right now.
Yeah, I think so. It's exciting, and one thing we know, not going to be Mike Pence, but all right.
That's right.
I'll put in my vote for you. Monica, you're the absolute best. It was great doing your podcast. Tell people what they can do to download it and check you out and all of that.
Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. Yes. Check out Tuesday's show of the Monica Crowley podcast with Kimberly. We had a fantastic conversation. Today, I really break apart 3 major strains of corruption, everything from bribery and treason on the part of Joe Biden to the January 6th Star Chamber apparently destroying all of the evidence that could have exonerated President Trump and the January 6th defendants. So sensational show today. It's called the Monica Crowley podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. So Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. Go check it out. Subscribe. It's free. just add it to your phone. It will automatically download. And I thank you so much, KG. It's always so good to be with you.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be with you, my great friend. God bless you, and thank you for being on the program.
God bless. Thank you.
All right. And my closing remarks just ahead, but I want to thank another amazing sponsor, that makes this show possible for us to be here and have a home on Rumble and to be able to interview the people that we love and that are smart and that bring value to you. So I want to thank MyPillow for sponsoring this program, Mike Lindell and the great team over at MyPillow. And they're out with the new MyPillow 2.0. And you know what that means. So the best pillow? Well, it's getting even better. Equipped with a brand new temperature regulating technology, it will keep you comfortable throughout the entire night. And as Mike Lindell has been telling everybody, the patented interlocking fill allows you to adjust your MyPillow to your individual needs. So it's going to give you the exact support that you want, and they'll do that from head to the bed, babe. And it's going to stay that way throughout the night. And you can buy one, okay? Buy one pillow. This is basic math here, and get one free with promo code Kimberly at mypillow.com, along with big discounts on all your favorite MyPillow products. We have all of the towels. We got the little travel pillows. We got them on all the kids' beds. It's unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Kimberly. All right. And I also want to bring you a message from Patriot Lifestyle, where you can save more and spend less. Sound good? On a whole host of different benefits, from non-insurance healthcare benefits to savings on travel, identity theft, legal services, and even pet care. Take a look. The never-ending ramblings from Democrats about leadership, character, and integrity. It's always Democrats themselves who are doing what they accuse everyone else of. They accuse Donald Trump of Russia collusion when it's the Bidens taking money from the former First Lady of Moscow. They accuse Donald Trump of election meddling when he made a phone call about Biden's Ukraine corruption, when it was Joe Biden who got the Ukrainian prosecutor fired who was investigating the energy firm Hunter was working for. And they accuse Donald Trump of abusing the justice system when it's Biden who is trying to jail his top political opponent. So remember, these dirty tricks, because you're going to see more and more of them every month through Election Day. And as I've been saying, it's time to stay in the fight, stay engaged, and stay committed to the MAGA America First agenda. And stay right here on this show, on Rumble with me, where we reject the false narrative and we always seek the truth. So please be sure to like, hit the little button, subscribe to my channel at Kimberly Guilfoyle, turn on notifications, download the Rumble app, and tell all of your friends, your family, so they know exactly where to find us. And also be sure to follow me and Don Jr. across all platforms, please. Twitter, X marks the spot, Truth Social, Facebook, and Instagram. And please do not miss Don Jr.'s big show at 6 p.m. Eastern with America First Patriot, Peter Navarro. It's going to be a fantastic show. I hope you